Welcome back to Cursed Convos. It's your boy Something Sick with
Daddy Chips. What's good, y'all?
okay. And today we got some true crime for y'all.
Good. That's right, boys. Getting that silly juice going. Y'all get to witness that shit live.
Silly juice for a serious case.
Man, why you gotta say it like that? You right. I forgot what our story was about today.
I mean, you could be pouring for the victims, you know.
You know what? This is for them.
Pour up.
I haven't heard the story yet, but this is for them.
Pouring up for the families, everyone.
Fuck whoever's the bad guy in this shit. All right.
Damn straight.
All seriousness though, let's what we got today? Something sick.
Grab your drinks and snacks like Little Chips did, because today's case is gonna be very interesting. Viewer discretion advised. This is some pretty heavy info we're covering today, so if you have a hard time listening at any point, you could check out another video. We got a good catalog of creepypastas. The latest one needs a little love. Check it out. You know, we're still doing the giveaway at 50 subs, so please like and subscribe, comment, all that stuff to be a potential winner. And without further ado, let's get into it. Jerome Henry Brudos, also known as Jerry Brudos, was an American serial killer known as the Lust Killer and the Shoe Fetish Slayer. Judging by the names given to him, I'm pretty sure this guy is gonna give pure incel vibes throughout the video. His list of crimes consists of kidnap, and the murders of 4 young women between 1968 and 1969 in Salem, Oregon. He also tried abducting 2 other women, but thankfully they escaped, giving the authorities information that would eventually lead to his arrest. Sticking to a sadistic pattern, he would kill each victim by strangulation, then take photos of them in different poses in lingerie after death. Brudos was also known to have engaged in acts of with his victims' bodies and kept selective body parts like the breasts or feet. Just horrific stuff, man. This dude is a freak of nature. But let's go to the very beginning to try to get an idea of how this a-hole was created.
Okay. Yeah. No, already right off the rip, that shit's some heavy stuff. Like, damn,
Dude. Yeah.
especially like when you're like doing your victims, like you kill them and then you have the audacity to like dress them up, and then also including like having sex with them and all that shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, how demented do you have to be to do that shit?
Fuck yeah. Like, really sick in the mind.
So this is like a case I've heard before of, it was like some student, not a student, but it was like some kid or some teen, and I guess he had like not bad thoughts, but what he would do is he was like kind of like the grave robber, to where he'd go steal dead bodies of, I think, like little girls or something, and then he'd mummify them and just keep them in his room. And by like the time he got caught, he had like a lot of bodies. I think it was at least like double digits. So when they found it, they just found like a bunch of mummified bodies. Jesus. And it was because like, to him, his thoughts were like, hey, they're easy to talk to, they're non-judging and things like that. It was like some type of case, but it was just like really bad. Like, his parents didn't even know about it, because I guess at the time he was staying with his parents, and they didn't even like, I guess, bother checking or something like that. But it was really fucking grotesque and shit.
Jesus Christ. And you do see that, like, with all these other serial killers, they keep the body parts and shit like that, just, well, like you said, you know, to feel closer to them, or like around still in his possessions, you know, like, I guess that sense of control.
Yeah, like they can't tell you no or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, I don't think in this sense he was killing anybody. He would just grave rob the bodies. And I think one victim was pretty recent. Not like, well, during that time, it was pretty recent, to where a little girl had passed away or something, and they buried her. And then I think like not even a week after, he like pretty much like robbed the body and the whole time the family was going to visit, praying every day and stuff, just to like eventually find out that their daughter wasn't even like in the grave.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a pretty sad story.
In a way, it's kind of like killing them twice, you know, like having to deal with that,
Yeah.
and then like knowing that someone stole their body and like doing God knows what with him, you know. It's like, fuck.
I think how they said it was it's because I think the family made like a statement. It's like losing your child twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because now they have
sure.
to put that they have to put their child to rest again. So.
Fucking hell, sick people out here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's continue. So yeah, this is the very beginning. On January 31st, 1939, Marie Eileen and Henry Irvin Brudos were in the hospital about to give birth to their newborn baby. Marie had made it known to everybody that she desperately wanted a girl since she had already given birth to a boy. However, as she gave her final push and discovered that it was yet another boy, she was immediately disappointed. As Jerry Brudos was growing up, his mother must have really despised him because she would emotionally abuse and belittle him frequently, telling him flat out to his face she had wanted a daughter instead of another boy. Shockingly, Jerry's mother absolutely adored her older son, James. So she has favorites. It's kind of crazy to hold his gender against him for that long. I mean, like, why wouldn't she just try again for another girl, you know?
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, I will say it was probably hell to have kids in the 1930s with like the pain, survival rates, no modern medicine or the tech that we have now. Like, that must have been like shitty.
No, yeah, I mean, I still get it, but there is always that option to still try again. You know what I mean? Like, I get also some parents would probably rather not do that just because, you know, I can imagine what the women go through, like having pregnancies and shit. So it's like,
fuck yeah, that takes
a
lot.
Yeah, it's like half and half to say. So, but let's continue.
The Brudos family lived a modest, middle-class lifestyle. Jerry's father wasn't around much due to him having a seasonal employment type of job, whereas his mother was simply a stay-at-home wife. Although Henry, Jerry's dad, was a short-tempered individual, he was rarely physically or emotionally abusive towards his children, whereas Marie was a harsh and prudish individual and had this strong ideology that women should be in power and privilege. Usually, Jerry was her punching bag to take out her frustrations and anger.
I feel like violence back in that day was more fucking common, which is already crazy in itself. Don't condone violence.
100%. Like, if you were to see a kid getting hit by his parents nowadays, you'll be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, what are the circumstances for him to get like hit like that versus back in the day? It'll probably be like, no, bat an eye. You know, just like, all right, yeah, that's just disciplining.
Yep.
Brudos was an unremarkable and sickly child with few friends and who frequently complained of throat pains and migraines. He typically achieved average grades, as opposed to his academically achieving and popular brother. You could say he was the black sheep of the family. Rolling into high school, Jerry remained an unremarkable individual to his peers and teachers alike. He rarely engaged in extracurricular activities, although he is known to have been the secretary-treasurer of a youth club in his early teens. What they don't know is that Brudos secretly harbored a lifelong shoe and foot fetish. He later recollected his fascination for women's shoes and feet started from an incident when he was around 5 years old.
Okay, you see, that's fine. Like, getting a fascination for feet. Hey, I ain't judging. Women's feet, women's shoes. Okay, I can see it's still tamed. But if that goes any further to something more like where it can be harmful, then yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, like you said, it's fine to have a fetish as long as both parties agrees and consents to it, and you know, you're not taking it to a level that, I mean, this is why there's safe words, you know, like, hey, pineapple, so shit doesn't get, you know, scary or fucking deadly.
The good old classic pineapple.
Yeah. What's yours?
Don't worry about it, little bro. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, when he was around 5 years old. Damn, that's kind of... Okay, let me just keep on going. He noticed a teenage daughter of a family's friend lying asleep on his bed, having been allowed to do so by Jerry's parents after she complained of feeling unwell. According to Jerry, he was, quote, transfixed by the sight of the girl's high-heeled shoes and attempted to pry them off her feet, causing the girl to suddenly wake up and simply told him to leave the room. On another occasion, Jerry discovered a pair of leather high-heeled shoes with a rhinestone-studded clasp while exploring a local junkyard. He took these shoes home, then slipped them on his feet to show his mother. In response, Jerry's mother shrieked he was wicked and ordered him to remove the shoes and return them to the junkyard. But he just couldn't simply part away from them, so he had secretly hid them in his room and wore them from time to time without his family knowing. One day, his mother walked in on Jerry wearing the heels and severely beat him before forcibly taking them off and burning them in his presence. Mother was not woke, not really into cross-dressing.
Okay, buddy. You do know. I know that's a joke, but back then it was heavily looked down upon.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Like, yeah, 1930s, jeez. 2 years after this incident, Jerry attempted to steal the high-heeled shoes of his first grade teacher. When caught, he confessed to his actions, stating he didn't know why he tried to take them. People tried to rationalize this by the onset of puberty, but wouldn't know just how far he would later go for these urges. According to Jerry, he was introduced to the practice of viewing, fondling, and smelling female underwear by a neighborhood boy with several older sisters, with whom he occasionally sneaked into the girl's bedroom to perform these acts. This invoked deep, erotic feelings within him, which he didn't initially understand. This would lead Jerry to steal underwear from female neighbors whenever he saw a window of opportunity, literally, some of which he would later wear.
Okay, you know what? I can understand that, but if you're doing it frequently,
What?
I can maybe... Hey, you've never thought about like that? You never thought that before? Granted, I never lived to neighbors, but still, you know? Like, maybe just like... Okay, maybe not sneaking into a house, but like, if you ever gone over, just like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, just peeping, but not like that far.
Yeah, I would never go that far. Like, I remember going to a friend's house, right? And he had a sister, and then, like, you know, it'd be like, like, kind of flirty stuff here and there. Like, oh, I'll, you know, knock at her door, see what's up, she needs anything, you know. But not, like, go into her room to, like, go through her underwears and shit like that. I mean, I would say devil's advocate, maybe if someone introduced him, like, okay, like him, like, if a friend introduced me to that off the rip, I mean, I guess you would think it's kind of normal, like, especially back in the days, you'd be like, okay, this is what guys do, you know, or boys. But it is wrong.
No,
It is
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I never did that shit, but like, you know, just seeing that shit, like, okay, yeah, like if someone did introduce me to it and just be like, oh, so this is kind of normal, so I'm not the only one thinking that way of doing it, so since they did it, it'll be okay. But straight up just like breaking into someone's house through a window just to steal some panties is kind of crazy.
That's like, yeah, crazy. That is going far. As time progressed, this fucked up snowball was slowly growing bigger. He began stalking local women around the area in his early teens, several of whom he discreetly photographed. At age 16, Jerry dug an underground tunnel to form some sort of an alcove near his family home. This alcove was solely created for one of his most recent fantasies, holding women captive. He spent many hours in this lair, but never entrapped anyone. Thankfully, thank fuck.
Even going that far to make a cove is insane.
Oh yeah. However, he did lure a neighborhood girl to his bedroom under innocent circumstances. After a short amount of time passed, Jerry would exit the room, only to reappear minutes later wearing a mask, with a knife at hand. He forced the girl to strip naked and took several pictures of her before leaving. Another couple of minutes would go by, and he would return to the room with his original shirt, messy hair, and a minor scuff mark on his cheek, claiming the intruder had locked him in the family barn at knife point. Within a year of this first known violent offense, Jerry had established a pattern of abducting girls his own age, of younger, typically at knife point, and forcing them into his family's barn, ordering them to disrobe before photographing them. He would then lock them in a corn crib and reappear several minutes later wearing different clothing with his hair combed in a different fashion. He would release the girls explaining, quote, "I'm Ed, Jerry's twin brother. He didn't hurt you, did he?" He continues saying, "Jerry's in therapy. This is going to set him back a bit. Please don't tell anyone about this. I'll look for the camera and destroy it." These girls weren't sexually assaulted beyond fondling, and all apparently agreed to not tell anyone, including authorities. So we got a master of disguise here. Just mess with your hair and change clothes.
Damn.
I'm sure they saw through the bullshit too, but being held by knife point, like,
Probably scared
shit's
them.
intense. Yeah, like, you wouldn't want to piss off the psycho even more, you know?
I don't
Just
know.
a
That's
tough spot to be in.
Yeah, it's also like a very sensitive thing to say, like you can just do it after like a certain amount of time. I know there's usually like a certain amount of time frame that the cops nowadays give. Like if it's not reported within like I don't even know. I think it might be a week or some shit. It don't really count. Like I guess they kind of scoff it off, but I think back then it might have been less time. Like if you didn't go like the day of or the day after, then it's not much you can do.
Oh, yeah. And another thing, this got concerning fast. Like having a certain area to hold girls captive in, already building a pattern that would feed his dark urges, like all at 16.
Yeah, I know, but it's just fucking insane. Like I
Fuck.
said, it all started off of him fucking liking women's shoes, and then now he went into breaking into people's houses and then creating a cove, and then now freaking this. It's kind of crazy.
And I'm sure like his mom put shit into his head, like putting women on a pedestal because she had that whole ideology, like, oh, women are this and that, and essentially better than men, and he would, be around that and be like, he would hold these women in a high light. So maybe that's what like caused his fixation towards them and shit like that,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm just simply like throwing spitballs, or just seeing what sticks.
Interesting.
Just my little detective brain working here.
Oh, for sure.
But one girl wasn't gonna let this psycho have it his way. On April 1956, Jerry persuaded a 17-year-old girl to accompany him on a date. Upon driving the girl to a deserted road, he ordered her to undress. The girl refused. This enraged Jerry. He got out, dragged her from his car, and proceeded to beat her, breaking her nose.
Damn.
Yeah. Thankfully, the girl's screams caught the attention of a young couple driving by. They immediately stopped and intervened. Jerry was stammering and made a lame excuse that she had fallen from the car, then changed his story saying the historical girl had been attacked by some weirdo he had overpowered. The couple called him out on his bullshit and took the two to the nearest police station, where he admitted attacking the girl but claimed, quote, "I only wanted to intimidate her into removing her clothes and taking a couple pictures. I haven't done anything like this before. My temper just got the better of me," end quote. He was arrested upon charges of assault and battery. The police must have felt something was up with this guy, because they did a whole search in Jerry's bedroom. They found his extensive collection of female clothing, plus numerous Polaroid photographs of teenage girls, one of whom they were able to identify. The girl was contacted and revealed her ordeal at the hands of, quote, Ed's twin brother, the previous August. Jerry remained in custody at the Polk County Juvenile Department. He was then sent to undergo physiatric evaluations within the Oregon State Hospital on April 16th, 1956. where he remained for 9 months while permitted to leave the facility to attend high school. The psychiatric evaluations determined he was a depressive individual who suffered from a schizotypal personality disorder but was not grossly mentally ill or suffering from delusions. Furthermore, they concluded his sexual fantasies revolved around a hatred he harbored toward his mother and women in general. 9 months later, after completing his evaluations, he returned to live with his parents and ended up finishing high school in 1957. 2 years later, in March 1959, Brudos joined the army, where he trained as a communications technician. Although being highly skilled at his job, his military service was largely unremarkable, and he gained a reputation among his fellow soldiers as something of a fantasist who repeatedly claimed to be in a casual sexual relationship with the quote, beautiful Korean girl, end quote, whom he stated would sneak into his bed every evening. He was soon discharged from the army in October 1959, having been classified as psychologically unfit for military service. After serving 2 years, he landed a job back at home at a local radio station. Throughout the years, Brudos resided with his parents. His mother allowed him to sleep in the second bedroom while his older brother was at college. When his brother returned home, he was forced to sleep in a shed at the rear end of the property.
Fuck, why did he get released? I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't paying attention.
I mean, because he did the 9 months. He went under the surveillance, like the psychiatric evaluations.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't really even arrested. He was just 9 months
undergoed with like the whole because he was technically underaged, a juvenile. They couldn't put him in jail.
That is makes sense. Okay, so he just basically served his time, and
as soon as he got out, he finished school, went to the military.
Okay, I got you. Continue.
And even then they were like saying like, oh, this guy's weird, and fucking found out, oh, he's psychologically unfit for service. It would only take a couple of months for Jerry to get back to his heinous thoughts and urges. In 1960, Brudos was stalking a young woman wearing revealing clothing. He discreetly followed this woman to her apartment, where he strangled her into a semi-conscious state before fleeing with her shoes. Shortly after, he observed another attractive young woman wearing high-heeled shoes. Thankfully, she fought back with everything she got and sent Jerry running away with only one of her shoes. He retained the footwear of both women in the shed, frequently sleeping with the attire. Brudos was not arrested for either of these offenses. As bad as he was around women, he happened to get married. He met 17-year-old Ralphine Schwindler through a teenage boy who frequently visited the radio station. They had a small bond, and the boy would tease Jerry for his shyness around female employees. He would jokingly reply with, quote, "You should find me a girlfriend then." And to his surprise, the teenager agreed and took him to Schwindler's house. Just 1 year later, on September 30th, 1961, Brudos and Schwindler, 1 month pregnant at the time, got married. The newlyweds initially resided in Portland, Oregon, before relocating to a small house in a suburb of Salem in the summer of 1968. Jerry was never physically or emotionally abusive towards his wife, although in the early years of their marriage, he insisted she frequently walk around the house and perform housework naked, except for a pair of high-heeled shoes often, as he photographed her before engaging in intercourse. For several years, his wife complied with these unusual requests, and Brudos is not known to have committed any sexual offenses during the early years of their marriage. Their marriage ultimately produced 2 children, a daughter, Teresa, and a son, Brian. Brudos occasionally repaired vehicles in the family garage to make ends meet. By the mid-1960s, Teresa was a toddler demanding more physical attention and nurturing from her mother. As such, Ralphine put an end to the nude high-heel modeling and sexual rituals. She also did not want her daughter to accidentally view them in that light. Jerry had begun putting on weight. His wife would later state that his physical appearance had begun to repel her. although she never said it to his face, and she remained loyal to her husband. But this didn't mean the spark wasn't fading. The two had less and less intercourse, with Rafine devoting her time to her daughter and social activities with female friends, and Jerry spending increasing amounts of time either working about the house or in his garage workshop. In May 1967, as his wife was in the hospital giving birth to their second child, Brudos discreetly followed a young woman wearing attractive high-heeled shoes to her home. He waited until nightfall before entering her apartment, whereupon he proceeded to choke her into unconsciousness. Jerry would later state his intentions upon entering the household did not initially include rape, but the sight of a young, attractive woman lying limp at his mercy beneath him aroused him to such a degree that he did rape her unconscious body before fleeing from her apartment with her high-heeled shoes. All of that while your wife's having your baby. Like, dude, what the fuck? Go with your wife, man.
Like I said, some fucking urges you just can't fight, I guess. And it turns out to be shit like that. It is fucked up.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Over the birth of your own child, that's crazy. Yeah.
Shit, dude. At this point, I literally just believe it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you have these demons and you just can't get over them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what it is. It's crazy.
The following year, Jerry was arrested by the Corvallis police while on the grounds of an Oregon State University women's dormitory. He was charged with stealing women's clothing and was wearing pedal pushers, high-heeled shoes, and women's underwear at the time of this arrest. After dealing with the charges, Jerry would cross yet another line. His tragic murder spree was between 1968 to 1969. Starting with Linda Catherine Slauson, a 19-year-old door-to-door encyclopedia saleswoman from Oregon, unfortunately crossed paths with Brudos as he worked in his yard on January 26, 1968. She had thought he was the one who booked an appointment to potentially sell an encyclopedia, but confused his address with the neighbors. Jerry faked his interest in purchasing a set of encyclopedias to lure her to the basement of his home. As Lawson sat on a stool and began her pitch, Brudos bludgeoned her head with a section of wood, then went down to strangle her to death before concealing her body beneath the staircase to the basement. He would later ask his mother to take his daughter from the house to purchase hamburgers so that he would engage in with Slauson's body.
Jesus.
Upon undressing the woman's body, he saw that she was wearing red lingerie. This inspired him to grab his box of women's underwears and footwear he had accumulated to repeatedly dress and redress her body, all while taking photos and repeating acts of Hours later, Jerry severed Slauson's left foot with a hacksaw and kept it in the family freezer located in the basement, of course. He would use her foot to showcase his twisted collection of high-heeled shoes to fuel his fantasies. He also retained the 2 encyclopedias Slauson had hoped to sell him as keepsakes. After collecting his so-called trophies, Brudos later bound the remainder of Slauson's body to a heavy cylinder head and discarded her body, quote, over a rail somewhere in Marion County, adding he could not recall the precise location.
Damn. Well, that fucking escalated quickly. That is crazy. I will never understand serial killers and their fucking trophies, man. Like, I will never understand how that, like, started. I guess, whatever. But, especially that's fucking nasty, like, demented to fucking chop her foot off and then keep it just so you can put different shoes on
Different
her.
shoes on him. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is fucking twisted shit right there.
Well, you know what? If it's one thing I've learned from listening to true crime, it's if you ever go to somebody's house and they have those big freezers in the basement, go look in it. You know what I mean? Go look. You probably out your neighbor. Be cautious though.
Yeah, make sure like no door's gonna close behind you with a lock on it if you do look. Like, make sure to have that shit propped open or something, you know?
Yep, because at that point, I've heard too many stories with, oh yeah, they had that big freezer in the basement. So, and there's usually body parts.
Oh, yeah. On to the second victim. Jan Susan Whitney was a 23-year-old motorist with a good heart and a whole life in front of her. She was driving on November 26th, 1968, and spotted two hitchhikers on the side of the road. Being the good soul that she is, she pulled over and gave these two individuals a ride. Moments later, her car would break down alongside Interstate 5 between Salem and Albany. Brudos was driving home from work and spotted Whitney with two other people on the side of the road. He would later say this murder, much like Slauson's, was a crime of opportunity, so he pulled over to see what was going on. After they explained to him their situation, Brudos claimed he could fix her vehicle, but would need to drive her to his house to collect his necessary tools. Whitney and the hitchhiker agreed to accompany him. In the back of his mind, he knew he had to get rid of the hitchhikers, so he casually offered to drop them off to their intended destination first, and, of course, they agreed. After dropping off the hitchhikers to their location, Brudos drove Whitney to his home, which he entered while remaining parked in the driveway. Brudos then discreetly entered the rear of the vehicle as Whitney remained seated in the passenger seat. He then asked her to close her eyes and describe how to tie a shoelace without opening her eyes or moving her hands. I would not for a second agree to this. As soon as he's opening the back door, I'm gonna ask, like, yo, what are you doing back there? Like, we're here for tools, bro. Like, why are you going to the back seat? Maybe she just genuinely thought this guy wasn't, like, as evil or something, but I just wish she, picked up on the red flags, because that's obviously kind of sketchy. I mean, really sketchy,
Yeah, I can see that. Like, if you're going for one thing, but then you're magically doing something else that doesn't make sense, yeah. Like, you should probably question it.
Yeah. As she attempted the quote-unquote challenge, Brudos would strangle her from behind with a leather luggage strap before whipping her body inside the vehicle. He then carried her body into his garage workshop, where he dressed her body in different footwear and lingerie before repeatedly engaging in acts of with her corpse. Whitney's body was left hoisted from the pulley in the workshop ceiling for 2 days.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. With Brudos later admitting to violating her body whenever he, quote, felt the need. Her body was also dressed in different lingerie and repeatedly photographed. Brudos also severed one of her breasts with the view to usage as a paperweight, although this idea was abandoned when he noticed the epoxy, a resin glue hardener, failed to fully set.
That's fucking nasty. What the fuck? How do
For a paperweight, yeah.
Like, how the fuck do you manage to think of shit like that?
Dude, get this. Brudos instead stuffed the breast with sawdust before pinning the organ to a wooden board. So he said, fuck that, the glue's not working, sawdust is fine. Like, wow.
Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, I got nothing else for that.
According to Brudos, 2 days after Whitney's murder, a car crashed into his garage, knocking a hole in the wall. A responding policeman had looked into the damage, but due to the dust, debris, and darkness, and the fact that the hole was at ground level, failed to observe Whitney's mutilated and suspended body. That evening, her body was tethered to a section of scrap railroad iron and thrown into the Willamette River along with Slauson's severed foot, which had by this stage begun to decompose. So, car crashes into the fucking garage, makes a hole. Policeman comes out and he just doesn't notice or doesn't like fully go into the garage to like witness all that horror.
No, he's just like, hey, this is normal. No, it's fine.
Like, right, like, dude, if you're going out there, I'm gonna like, see the inside. Like, you can't just look at the outside and be like, oh, yep, that's a hole in the wall. Like, go in there too, I mean, I don't know. Fuck.
You know, we're not a police back in 1930, so what do we know?
Karen Elena Sprinker. Sprinker was an 18-year-old Oregon State University chemistry student en route to meet her mother for lunch on what seemed to be a normal day on March 27th, 1969. Brudos, dressed in women's clothing at the time, attempting to hide his identity, had impulsively driven his station wagon into the parking lot after observing a young woman wearing high-heeled shoes and a miniskirt at this location. Having parked his car and attempted to chase this individual, he soon lost sight of her. En route back to his vehicle, he observed Sprinker exiting her car and walking toward the department store. She was forced at gunpoint to enter his vehicle and accompany him to his home. Sprinker repeatedly pleaded with him not to hurt her, adding that once taken inside his workshop, she would do anything he wanted as long as he didn't kill her. In response, Jerry asked if she was a virgin. Sprinker replied she was, adding she was having her period. He forced her to undress before proceeding to rape her on the workshop floor. Sprinker was then forced to pose in different high-heeled shoes and underwear as Brudos photographed her. Disturbingly, this is one of the photos Jerry took moments before disaster. He then bound Sprinker's hands behind her back before placing a rope around her neck. He then asked her if the rope was too tight. Sprinker replied that it was. In response, he threw the rope over a ceiling beam and pulled, causing Sprinker to be lifted from the ground, whereupon she, quote, kicked a little and died.
Wow. Oh, well, I think I pulled her tight and she died. Well, next victim. Like, are you fucking serious, dude?
Yeah, there's harshness and like deadpan whenever he retells the story. It's like, oh yeah, she just, kicked a little and then went.
Yeah, no, this guy's fucking psychopath, bro.
Over the following hours, Brudos repeatedly engaged in acts of with Sprinker's body. He also severed her breast so he could form plastic molds with the organs. That evening, Sprinker's body was tied to a 6-cylinder engine component and thrown into the Willamette River. So he's already having this established dumping grounds. This river coming up a lot. Linda Dawn Sally. Sally was a 22-year-old removal firm secretary and part-time Portland State University student from Beaverton, Oregon, whom Brudos abducted from the grounds of the Lloyd Center shopping mall late in the afternoon of April 23, 1969. Sally had purchased a pair of slacks and a watch band as birthday gifts for her fiancé from the mall and was returning to her vehicle when approached by Brudos, who deceived her into believing he was a police officer by displaying a fake police badge and informing her she was being arrested for shoplifting. Although Sally protested her innocence, she agreed to accompany Brudos to his vehicle, where she was informed she was being kidnapped for ransom. Brudos then drove towards his home. He parked inside his garage and ordered Sally to follow him across the yard to his home, believing his wife and children to be with relatives. At this moment, his wife appeared on the porch to inform him she had prepared the family dinner. In response, Brudos, over 10 feet from the porch, signaled to Sally to stand still. He informed his wife he would be in the house in a few moments, then returned Sally to the garage, where she was bound with cord. Brudos then entered the house alone to eat with his family. Okay, so his wife coming out seeing that is pretty fucking wild. Like, I would say as a little spoiler, they did had that question up in the air as if to like how much did she know what was going on, like how much did she know? And yeah, it's just really interesting. This is one of the moments where it's like, why didn't she really do? Yeah, like why didn't she do much? Like because she just went about it like it was a normal day.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even think about it like that. Like, oh, where's the wife been? Like, how hasn't she come across any of this stuff?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Shit, damn. I guess I just don't have the brain to like think of that.
Oh shit. Well, good thing you're not working as a detective.
Nah, yeah, shit.
Fuck.
Cause yeah, that would have been something to think about. Like, hey, how hasn't she not like found that out yet?
Like, even notice these signs of, like him disappearing often into the garage. Like,
No, for real. I guess because like from a story, like hearing the story, you don't really think about it because everything's kind of already like set in motion. So you're just telling it as it goes. So I'm not really like thinking about it like, oh, where is her? Like, where is she? Like, how hasn't she not come across this? So, you know what? That's my fault. My bad.
yeah. Upon returning to the garage, Brudos discovered Sally had freed herself from her binds, but had made no further efforts to escape. She attempted to resist his immediate efforts to place a leather strap around her neck and, quote, pull her off her feet, asking questions, quote, why are you doing this to me? Sally then began to scratch and kick Brudos as he lifted her from the ground by leather strap, although she soon became unconscious. Brudos then proceeded to strangle Sally to death as he raped her. Sally's body was then hung by the neck upon the same workshop pulley as Brudos' previous 2 victims. He then placed a needle into her rib cage beneath each armpit, through which he ran an electrical current in an effort to animate her body. Disappointed the experiment failed to produce dancing or seizure-like symptoms, Brudos rapidly abandoned this experiment. He retained Sally's body for 24 hours, engaging in acts of necrophilia in one occasion, before binding her body to a vehicle gearbox and discarding her in the Willamette River. Although Brudos created a mold of Sally's breasts, he did not mutilate this section of her body as he had with previous victims, as he believed her nipple areola were too pink.
Interesting.
Yeah, he had to like have specific type of women, I guess, or like
That,
he was really picky.
which that's even more fucking disturbing. Like, hey, I killed this girl for fetishes, but it was kind of like a pointless death because her nipples weren't the ones that I wanted. Make it make sense.
Fucked
You know what I mean?
up,
Like,
yeah.
that's fucking nasty.
And now this section is going to pertain to discoveries. On May 10th, 1969, 2 fishermen discovered what they believed to be a large parcel floating beneath the surface of the water in a shallow section of the Long Tom River. Upon closer inspection, they discovered the parcel was actually the bound, bloated body of a young woman, clad in a coat, weighed down by a large gearbox with copper wiring. The body was identified as that of Linda Sally. Due to the extent of decomposition, a subsequent autopsy was unable to determine whether she had been although the coroner did rule her death was as being due to strangulation. 2 days later, an underwater search and recovery unit discovered the body of Karen Springer approximately 20 yards from where Sally's body had been found. Her body was similarly weighted to the riverbed, in this case by a 6-cylinder head, and she had been bound with precisely the same cord and copper wire as Sally's body had been. Springer's autopsy determined she had died of either smothering or strangulation, and both of her breasts had been severed from her body after death. The discoveries immediately gave investigators a lead in linking the deaths of Sally and Springer to the same perpetrator. The fact that both young women had been bound with the same brand of electrical flex and both had been weighted with car components suggested their murderer may have been an electrician or mechanic. Police questioning of Springer's fellow students at Oregon State University revealed several female students had received phone calls in recent months from a man claiming to be a Vietnam veteran who had asked to take them on dates. Almost all had either refused or simply hung up the phone. However, one had recently felt a degree of pity and allowed the man to take her on a date. She described this man as being Caucasian, in his late 20s or early 30s, slightly overweight, with thinning, blondish red hair and freckles. His vehicle had been a dirty station wagon, quote, with kids' clothes in it. leading her to believe he had actually been married. The date itself had been a largely unpleasant experience, and Brudos had sensed the student's increasing unease in his presence, at one point indicating she had reason to be wary, stating, quote, "Think of those 2 girls who were found in the river," end quote. Upon driving her home at the end of the date, he had asked her why she had changed her mind and agreed to accompany him, to which she replied she had been curious. According to the student, Brudos replied, "How did you know I wouldn't take you to the river and strangle you?" Which is
I guess that's one
W Riz.
Yeah.
W Riz.
I guess that's one way to, win her over.
Yeah. That's gonna get you a second date for sure, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You got that locked in. The student knew she had no desire to go for a second date, but didn't outwardly say that to Brudos. Investigators asked her to contact them if this man ever again called her to ask for a date. The girl agreed. 1 week later, after the discovery of Sally's body on May 18th, Brudos again contacted the young woman. He was arrested as he walked toward the agreed-upon location that evening. Boom, Chris Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
Kinda. Yeah. Why don't you take a seat?
Yeah, you can
In this
keep down
police car. In the back of this police car.
Yeah, keep down in the making, brother. In the workshop.
Brudos provided police with his correct name, age, and occupation, but gave a false address. With no legal basis to detain him, he was soon released from custody, although a background check revealed his history of physical and sexual violence towards women, and a search of vehicle database records revealed he had resided in the district of Portland, where Linda Slauson had been last seen alive, and, upon discovering Brudos' actual address, investigators discovered he currently resided just blocks from the department store where Karen Sprinker had been abducted. Furthermore, although Brudos did not drive a Volkswagen, investigators discovered his mother owned such a vehicle and that he had been in possession of the car on April 22nd, the date of the attempted abduction of Gloria Smith. Smith herself positively identified him as the man who had attempted to abduct her. This information was deemed sufficient probable cause to obtain a search warrant of Brudos' property. The search of Brudos' property. 8 days after Brudos' initial arrest, on May 26th, a search of his property was conducted. Stowed within his garage, authorities discovered a large stash of women's lingerie and footwear, a list of phone numbers of sorority houses and college girls' living quarters, and numerous Polaroid photographs of young women, some alive and some obviously deceased. Almost all the photographs had been taken in Brudos' garage, including several depicting a deceased woman hanging from the garage pulley with a mirror laid horizontally upon the floor directly beneath her feet. In one image, the reflection within the mirror depicted Brudos holding his Polaroid, indicating he had taken the photographs. One of the individuals depicted in these photographs was rapidly identified as Karen Sprinker. She was depicted standing nude, save for high-heeled slippers with an expression of stern fear, contemplation, and/or apparent resignation on her face. A severed female breast, coated with epoxy, was also discovered upon a mantle in the living room. Police also discovered a coil of copper wiring determined to be of precisely the same type used to bind the bodies of Linda, Sally, and Karen Sprinker to engine components prior to their disposal in the Long Tom River. One length of rope confiscated by investigators was tied in precisely the same manner used to bind the victims' bodies. In addition, numerous engine components were scattered and towed around the garage. These discoveries were deemed sufficient to place Brudos under constant surveillance. By May 29, 1969, he was discovered by Oregon State troopers hiding beneath a blanket in the rear of the family station wagon as his wife drove the vehicle toward Portland. The following evening, Brudos placed a phone call to his wife, asking her to destroy further incriminating evidence, although his wife refused this request. But she was okay to drive him past state lines, basically, like going towards Portland, while her husband was like hiding in the backseat under a blanket.
The fact that she was willing to go that far for her dude, knowing what he's done, is kind of insane to me.
Right. And I feel like she just dropped it as soon as she like knew he was like already in too deep, like behind bars. And why would she help him further when it's just gonna look bad on her? And she probably knows that, you know.
Which, yeah, I mean, she also has a kid. Like,
Think for them, like, come on now, like, they don't need a father like that. Fuck them, leave.
yeah, especially because this man has two fucked up thoughts. It's just that it is. It's just fucked up ways. You know what I mean? Like, knowing that you shouldn't be trying to defend anybody, regardless if they have a family with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's far gone. Like, he's cheated on her with, like, corpses. Like, I don't know if that's fucked up to say, but, you know, like, he's done things, and that should be more than enough to be like, hey, this is not a good guy. Which, I mean, I'm gonna say it, like, it baffles me that he didn't even attempt to do anything to his wife, which is crazy. You know what I mean?
Probably to like have her as a front image to like seem normal, like a normal family. And also, if he loves his kids even a little, like, he would think like, hey, I wouldn't want them to not have their mother, and they'll be like distraught if she died. You know, maybe he had somewhat little humanity in that, or like I said, it could just be a front, you know.
Okay, I can see it being a front, and I'm gonna challenge your earlier statement, because I don't even think if he cared at all for his kid, he wouldn't even have done it. He would have at least made an attempt to stop. But it just
to like
seemed
be normal.
Yeah, it just seemed to get worse and worse as time went on. So, I mean, I don't really think he cared at all. I think he just was used based on
100%
using it as a front.
Yeah, I take that back. It was all just for his urges, you know, just whatever he wanted. Like, yeah, he was just caring about his wants and needs. That's it.
I mean, because like
he didn't care.
The Dexter is a good show to you do that too. You know, Dexter really didn't care. At least he attempted to, but it was mainly just for a front. You know what I mean? To like seem normal.
Following this second arrest, Brudos was heavily questioned with a massive pile of evidence against him, to which he initially denied involvement with any of the cases. By early June, although Brudos acknowledged ultimately responsibility for his crime, he remained somewhat resistant when questioning with regards to aspects of reasoning and premeditation, simply stating at one stage, quote, "There must be something wrong with me," end quote. He denied harboring a hatred of women, but admitted that the act of killing enabled him to, quote, "let off some steam," end quote.
That's stupid. I don't even think it was because of that. I feel like it was just because of his sexual urges.
100%, yeah. Too many right hooks from the mom.
Okay, you know what?
Got fucked up. Lost his mental.
Because you know what? Yeah, fuck the mom. Because after that, we didn't really, hear about her anymore. So
Yeah. Brudos was formally charged with the murders of Whitney, Sprinker, and Sally on June 4th. In response to an entered plea of not guilty by reason of insanity at his initial arraignment. Okay, wait, this is interesting, actually.
I'm about to say, I was already getting ready to jump on that shit. Like, don't fucking tell me he got no years because of a plea of insanity. That is ridiculous. I don't give a fuck if you are insanity. If you're insane. If you kill someone, multiple people, mind you, so he's basically a fucking serial killer at this point. You just get behind bars. I don't give a fuck. Like, regardless, if they're stupid to stand trial, they need to be put behind bars. And I feel like that's 100%. How it should be, regardless. I don't even think the plea of insanity should be a thing when it comes to serial killers or just killing in general. Like, if it's maybe like they do something stupid, like break into a house, don't kill anybody, but they, do some stupid shit, then okay, fine. Hey, he was stupid, something. Then yeah,
like throwing shit around, like having tantrum or something.
Yeah,
like completely random. Or
totally fine. But I feel like killing people, serial killer, nah, I feel like that shouldn't even be a fucking thing. Like, if you're not in the right state of mind, it shouldn't matter. Like, you killed
There's
someone.
so much planning, like, just like
Yeah.
pure thought into these actions, you know?
No, especially because he did have planning. He planned this shit. Like,
Yeah.
he made a cove in the beginning. He broke into people's houses. Like, I don't even think you're insane at that point. You kind of already thought of the way you thought of yourself to chop off a leg, to try different shoes on. I can see how, yes, that could be insane behavior, but you still thought of doing it. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I might just be fucking off the silly juice right now, but this shit low-key kind of getting me heated. Anyways, let's go on.
Let's go. In response to an entered plea of non-guilty by reason of insanity at his initial arraignment, Jerry was subjected to a battery of psychiatric examinations by several doctors who concluded that he was sane and thus was competent to stand trial. As such, Brudos was informed his trial was to be held on June 30th.
Good fucking shit.
Yeah, good shit on them. On June 27th, 1969, 3 days before his trial was scheduled to commence, Brudos formally entered a plea of guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive terms of life imprisonment, with possibility of parole to be served in Oregon State Penitentiary. Brudos repeatedly appealed his conviction, although every appeal was unsuccessful.
Good. Fuck that shit. You don't get none of that. Fuck that appeal. I'm sick. I swear to God, if this motherfucker kills himself in prison, I'm gonna be...
Dude, I had a feeling too. I was like, whoa, is he gonna like off himself like before? But
yeah. Okay, let's finish this bitch. Yeah, let's finish.
Despite Jerry's insistence that his wife had known nothing about any of his crimes, and his insistence that he had forced her to drive the family station wagon from their home on the date of his arrest as he hid within the vehicle, on August 7th, 1969, Ralphine Brudos, so this is his wife, was formally indicted for the first-degree murder of Karen Sprinker. These charges were initially filed in relation to an eyewitness account from an individual who claimed to have seen Brudos' wife assisting him in forcing a blanket-covered young woman into their property on a date of Sprinker's disappearance. Ralphine denied all knowledge of the crime, and the eyewitness's account was refuted by other witnesses at her... Oh my god.
Come on, Ray, stop edging me, bro.
By other witnesses at her September 1969 trial. She was acquitted of all charges the following month.
Fuck!
So another person rooted for her, saying, no, that did not happen, because I'm assuming they said she was with me on this date, or, you know, it was bullshit or something like that.
Okay, you know what?
It's kind of hard to put one eyewitness testimony against another, because at then it's just like a...
He or she said, yeah.
Yeah, he or she says.
You know what? Shit, alright. I was already getting heated again. I was like, bro, don't tell me she fucking actually helped. Like, regardless if it was one body, like, her even being involved in that shit is kind of crazy, but fine. You know, at this point, it really is just he or she said. So if even one eyewitness is involved in saying they, like, no, I didn't see that. So, yes, that's... It can literally counter it. If there's at least 2 saying, like, hey, I did see that, like, she was helping him pack a body in the car or some whatever, then yes, it would automatically be like, yeah, then it's true. But the fact that it was just one, and then obviously the attorney defending, yes, okay, so it's just he or she said, so. Okay, whatever.
In the years following his incarceration, Brudos became a model prisoner, utilizing his electronic skills to maintain the prisoner's computer record system, stocking, repairing, and maintaining the vending machines. As a convicted sex offender, Brudos is known to have endured several physical assaults by fellow inmates, although in each instance he refused to name his assailants. Brudos was also permitted to order mail-order catalogs depicting women modeling high-heeled shoes and underwear. He used this material to fuel his erotic and fantasies.
Okay.
So they gave him
What the
shit
fuck?
to fap to.
Yeah. Why
That's
would you do
fucking
that?
crazy.
You know
To f-
what his fucking high is. Why would you do that?
yeah,
Like,
it's stupid.
it might seem dumb as fuck, like, oh, it's just women in high heels. What can go wrong? You're stupid.
But that was his whole shit.
Yeah, exactly. He got off to that, and that should have been known. So the fact that they even fucking allowed that is kind of insane.
Bro was named the Shoe Fetish Slayer.
And they still
Like-
allowed him to order that shit. I granted it's magazines,
Jesus.
but you're fucking... Okay. I love the justice system. Let's go.
While incarcerated, Brudos granted several interviews to numerous individuals. One of these individuals was a former Marion County detective named Jim Burns, who later recollected a conversation with Brudos regarding compassion and remorse, in which he asked, "Do you feel some remorse, Jerry? Do you feel sorry for your victims, for the girls who died?" In response, Jerry picked up a section of paper from the table between the two. He crunched the section of paper into a ball, then threw the ball onto the floor, replying, quote, "That much. I care about those girls as much as I care about that piece of wadded up paper." End quote.
Okay.
Yeah, just a piece of shit.
Alright. You know what? Did you say he got in prison?
He got beat in prison a lot.
Okay, good. He deserved it. You know what? He should have gotten more. At this point, I would have allowed him to fucking take his own life. Or if not, someone else. I don't condone this, but if someone did it in prison, I would allow it. I would be satisfied. But the fact that he did this shit
Deadass.
is crazy. How are you gonna,
Fuck yeah.
like, be okay with that? Like, huh?
If I was a detective, I would have punched him right there and then like, bitch. pff.
Even if I was a reporter, yeah. I would do the same
Yeah.
thing too. Like that is beyond fucked up. Like at that point you just don't have remorse. You're just okay, you know what? Whatever. All right.
Well,
continue.
we need to bring torture systems in.
Yeah, I agree.
Just for the wicked.
You know what? At this point, yeah.
You're gonna love this though. Brudos died of liver cancer while incarcerated with the Oregon State Penitentiary at 5:10 a.m. on March 28th, 2006. At the time of his death, he was 67 years old and the longest incarcerated. Okay. And the longest incarcerated inmate in the Oregon Department of Corrections, having served a total of almost 37 years imprisonment. Upon receipt of news of Brutus's death, the young sister of Jan Whitney informed a reporter, quote, "As soon as I heard he was dead, I started crying. And it wasn't for him. It was for our family. He put our family through hell. You're never really the same." End quote. This sentiment was echoed by one of the detectives assigned to the case, James Stovall, who stated, quote, "I'm satisfied he has died. It's just good riddance. He was a true monster." End quote. And that was the case of Jerry Brudos, the shoe fetish slayer or the lust killer. Real fucking dirtbag, real monster, yeah, as the detective said.
Yep, you picked out a fucking doozy of a story. Damn, I don't think I've ever,
Yeah, this one was crazy.
I don't think I've ever put this much emotion into a story before. That is crazy as fuck. Like, you know, my heart
Oh
goes
yeah,
out to
you were
them,
heated.
but
It was like
Jesus
respectfully
Christ,
heated.
you know what? He served 37 years, and throughout the 37 years, apparently he learned nothing. He felt nothing. So honestly, I'm satisfied with the ending. Like, fuck him, bruh. Like, at least now he's fucking 10 feet under, bruh. Fuck him. I hope he didn't even fucking get a proper burial. I hope he just threw him in a fucking, in a ditch, in an incendiary, in a fucking field, in the desert. I don't give a shit. He's a piece of shit for that.
By wolves, pack of wolves,
Yep.
something like.
I don't even think they would eat his
wolves.
fucking body. That's how disgusting he was. That is crazy.
Dead ass.
Fucking hell.
No, real monsters out here, man. Real monsters. Alright, well that about does it for today's video. Y'all stay safe out there, you just never know. It's been something sick with
Little chips. And we'll see you on the next one.
peace.